Hey, BookTube. Chelsea, the Reading Outlaw here to do my month belated February wrap up. Yeah, I know, I know. But for the handful of you who are still interested in hearing about the books I read in February, buckle in because it turns out it was actually a really great reading month. At the top of the month, I read The Greatest Love Story Ever Told by Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally. I listened to this book on audio. You will probably recognize their faces, if not their names. This is Karen from Will and Grace and Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, who are married and who are a delightfully quirky couple. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to them explain their history, the things they valued in one another, as well as in relationships, and the advice they had to offer on an age gap relationship that stood the test of time in Hollywood. After that, I read Fed Up, Emotional Labor, Women, and the Way Forward by Gemma Hartley. This is a nonfiction book about, like it says in the title, emotional labor, the emotional labor that women perform, the impact that it has on them, the way that emotional labor has taken up more and more of the power structure and the expectations of performative femininity, and what can be done about it and how we can potentially change it. This book was equal parts frustrating and maddening and infuriating, but also very validating and very powerful. It was another one that I listened to in audio, and I think I need to listen to it again because there's a lot of stuff in it, so it might be worth picking up in print if you can get your hands on it. After that, I reread Beyond Shame, which is the first book in the Beyond series. You guys have heard me talk ad nauseum about this book, but this time I specifically reread it because I launched a new project podcast in which my friend Anna and I are rereading and doing deep dives on all of the Beyond books. It's called Beyond the Sectors, and of course it will be linked down below. After that, I read A Cathedral of Myth and Bone by Kat Howard. I absolutely love Kat Howard. I loved An Unkindness of Magicians. I loved Roses and Rot. It's one of my favorite books from her. The short story collection was no different. It had some of my favorite bits and pieces and things that I love about the way that she works with story and with imagination and fairy tale so well, and put them so succinctly into a really wonderfully paced and structured collection of short fiction. After that, I read another podcast book. This time it was a Not Now I'm Reading book, and it was A Sprinkle of Spirits by Anna Mariano. This is the second book in the Love, Sugar, Magic series, a really adorable middle grade series about a family of brujas who work their magic through love and azúcar, amor y azúcar, love and sugar. That's the name of their bakery. And it's just all about family and generational family and communication and finding how to balance the things you want and the things your family wants and the things your friends want, and how to do all of that while growing up. And I really loved it. After that started my novella binge. I ended up catching up on a couple of novella series that I had fallen behind on. The first one was Murderbot, so I reread the first Murderbot, All Systems Red by Martha Wells. For those of you who don't know Murderbot is essentially exactly what she sounds like. She's a robot whose programmed instructions are to kill on command. However, they have deprogrammed their command center, so they don't have to follow orders anymore, and all they want to do is sit and watch media in their room on their hard drive. And Murderbot is maybe the most relatable fictional character that I've read about in a very long time. We learn in this first book who Murderbot is and how they've managed to bypass their control panel, and how that interacts with their ability to do missions, and how they have to then learn more about humans to protect themselves. And it's just a really nice pulling back of the layers of AI and humanity. After that, I read Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire, which is the first book in the Wayward Children series. These are some of my favorite novellas that the Tor line has put out to date. Shauna does a really wonderful job working with themes of portal fantasy and difference and acceptance and all of these really kind of fantastic fantasy tropes in such a short span of time. If you're unaware, these books follow the Eleanor West Home for Wayward Children, in which portal fantasy children, children who have gone through doors in our world into fantasy worlds and then have come back. This is the place where they go when their parents and their family and their friends just don't understand. We meet several different characters in several different portal worlds over the course of the series and the book so far. The third book, Beneath the Sugar Sky, was nominated for the BookTube SFF Awards this year, which is why I'm rereading the first two in the series. So of course, shortly after I finished that, I decided to go ahead and pick up the second one, Down Among the Sticks and Bones. This is actually my favorite in the entire series of books so far in terms of the Wayward Children books. This is the story of Jack and Jill and the portal world that they get sucked into, which is very much so this Elizabethan Moors, Island of Dr. Moreau, Dracula, Frankenstein kind of mashup. It's a book that looks at gender expression and gender stereotypes and gender norms and how we address those things in our world and how they could be addressed in fantasy worlds. After that, I put a little like break in the novella reading and I picked up Beyond Control, which is the second book in the Beyond series. I reread this one for the same reason that I reread Beyond Shame, and I liked it just as much this time as I have every other time that I've managed to read it. Then it was back to the novellas with An Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. This was the last book that I read this month, and what a high note to go out on. This was another adventure with Murderbot. Murderbot has basically found a way to get off the planet they started on in the first book to a planet that has like open contracting. There's some secrets and some answers about Murderbot's existence and construction and programming that they are searching for. And in order to do that, they have decided to go looking. And to go looking, they take a job on a planet with a group of people who need basically a bodyguard. And Murderbot decides that they can be that bodyguard while also trying to integrate and hide the fact that they are a Murderbot who has deprogrammed themselves. It's all very, very interesting. And the more we get into Murderbot's adventures, the more and more you just grow to really love and root for them as like a robot pal and an AI who is remarkably and eerily human. That's it. That was my attempt at a really fast wrap up for an entire month of really good reading in February. I know it's been a long time, but let me know down below if you ever read any of these, if you are going to read any of these. Thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, concerns, of course, can all go in down below where those things tend to go. Please, friends, until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have happy reading.